Here are the 5 decisions made in traditional projects that never work. 1. Adding more developers to the project to increase the velocity. 2. Adding a buffer to the estimated timeline or budget to cover the risks. 3. Assigning all work items in advance to specific people. 4. Splitting people's time between multiple projects. And 5. Always reporting the watermelon status. Whether you agree or disagree, in this video I'll tell you why these solutions don't work and what you can do instead. Hey, it's Daria here. Welcome to Building Awesome Teams by Eliminating Efforts That Don't Bring Results. Actually, that is a little callback to the previous video on essentialism. As I mentioned at the very beginning of this video, there are 5 traditional project management decisions that I'd like to talk about here. But who am I to have an opinion on that? Well, let me give you some context. I've been working in different industries, companies of different sizes, in different countries, with people coming from all parts of the world. And I've seen these scenarios I'm going to share with you play out every time exactly the same way and exactly with the same results. I also have a master's degree in project management, and honestly, they kind of taught us everything I'm going to talk about, so I get it. I know why we're doing it. However, in the end, it's just insanity. Everyone knows that these solutions don't work and they keep using them. It's a simple case of cognitive dissonance when people believe 2 contradictory ideas. I guess we hope that one day, in one specific project, it will finally do some magic.
Stop it. Get some help.
Let's look at each project management fallacy in detail. Fallacy number 1. Add more developers to the project to increase the velocity. Okay, your project is late, you only have 2 more months to the deadline, and the progress is clearly not as fast as you hoped it would be. Sounds familiar? So let's just hire more people to fix the problem. Say we have 10 developers and we were able to burn through 50% of our scope in 6 months.
So if I divide the scope by the number of months we spend, 50 by 6, so 10 developers can complete about 6 points of work in a month. To complete the project on time, we need to burn through 25 more points of work per month.
Okay, so simple math, we just need to triple the team and we can totally make it. I've seen people make these kind of calculations with precision to know exactly how many extra devs they need. Unfortunately, teams don't work that way. If you never heard of the 5 stages of group development, you can check out this video for more explanation. But just briefly, every team goes through several stages as people get to know each other, learn the work they need to do, and build some basic effectiveness working as a team. And this can take months. Not to mention that when you recruit more people or even add new people to a new project, they will need time to go through the onboarding process. If anything, bringing in more people to your project is going to slow it down in the short term, as the existing people will need to help new people understand the project, the work, the processes, and everything else. You should add people when you plan for long-term productivity gains, not last minute because you are already late. There is a popular metaphor that some use here. You can't make a baby in 1 month with 9 women. I don't really like this metaphor as I think it's too limited and doesn't account for teamwork benefits, but it gets the point across. Anyway, if you find yourself in this situation, you have 2 options. Either you move the date or you cut the scope. The only other option is to squeeze people like lemons to the very last drop, and you might be able to get something out of the door before the deadline. I personally wouldn't trust the quality of that something though. In addition, the team members by that time will already have their resumes updated, as they wouldn't want to stay with you for another project. I talked about it in my scope creep video, so if you want to learn more, you can check it out. In conclusion, adding more people to a project that is already late will only put more pressure on it, making it even less likely to be on time. Fallacy number 2. Add a buffer to account for anything unpredictable. That's a popular one. If we add a buffer, a good buffer, we feel very certain that whatever is asked of us can be done. So certain that people give an absolute 100% guarantee. The problem with this is that even if we add a buffer, we don't know if our initial estimation is even close to reality. So if you have estimated a project to take 6 months and $1 million, but in reality it's 18 months and $10 million, even if you add a buffer, it's going to be very far off from reality. Now, I am talking about complex work here, not predictable and easy to estimate projects. An example that came to mind right now is running a marathon. If you've never run a marathon before, can you promise me that you can finish a marathon in under 3 hours? What if I give you 5 years to prepare? What if you have an unlimited budget? I'm not a runner myself, but I know that each body has certain limits and certain capacities. In addition, there are other factors that may impact your success, like getting an injury, for example. When we look at a simple life example, it's easy to see how ridiculous adding a buffer sounds. But when we are talking about multi-million-dollar projects, somehow we forget about that. Taking a few quotes from my very new favorite book, Essentialism, you should know about that already. Projects and commitments tend to expand to fill the amount of time or money allotted to them. Or, as in this saying that was attributed to Abraham Lincoln, give me 6 hours to chop a tree and I'll spend the first 4 sharpening my axe. So, what can you do instead of adding a buffer? Well, treat forecasts as forecasts, not as guarantees. Consider any estimate as incorrect by default. Speaking more specifically, make forecasts for best case and for worst case scenarios to see how wide the uncertainty is. And always plan for the worst case of the worst case. I just wanted to pop in here to let you know that the Product Owner Guide has just received an update. So if you are new and you don't know what it is a practical guide to the role of the product owner with clear steps on how to interact with the team and some useful tools that can help you kickstart a new product development. Check it out, link in the description. Okay, that's it. Let's get back to the video. Fallacy number 3. Assign all work items in advance to specific people. By this I mean defining who will work on what in advance before the work starts and locking everyone involved in it. These kinds of decisions are made without consulting the people involved, very often, well, most of the time. A manager may define who on the team has which skills and what they will work on. What's the problem, you ask? Well, here are some essential factors that are not taken into account when making that decision. Knowledge and skills of team members that we may not be aware of. The personal interest of the team members working on certain projects or products. Professional development and knowledge transfer. And interpersonal relationships between people involved in the project. These are the biggest ones, I think, but there's more. So what often happens is that the work is started and then we learn things we didn't know about. Because, well, we never asked. And that drastically impacts the project's success. Like, one person assigned to the project has been working on transferring to another department because they no longer want to work on the projects that are being assigned to them. The person who is asked to work on a certain task has the knowledge and skills needed, but there is someone else who would be a much better fit for it. 2 people added to the team can stand each other and end up working in silos. Because the same person is always assigned to the same types of tasks, no one else in the company knows how this part of the product works, and that slows down everything else dependent on it. These are just a few examples, of course, of what may happen. And most of these could be avoided easily if only you let people to self-organize. To do that, you need to set very clear goals and milestones and then give it to the people who will be doing the work. Their job is to identify what skills and knowledge they will need to succeed and who can be a potential candidate to fulfill those needs. Not only this can help you avoid some of the problems as you start working, but you will also be able to save a lot of time to the people who have some high-level decisions to take care of instead of assigning work to people. And in addition, you are involving people doing the work from the very start, so they will feel much more motivated to work on this project. Fallacy number 4. Splitting people's time between multiple projects. Ugh, I have so much to say about this one. You know, when one person is assigned to 3 projects just because they are the only expert on a particular area of work. This leads to basically everyone on the 3 projects to be dependent on that one person. This in turn leads to a lot of stress put on an individual who may start working at an unsustainable pace and eventually end up burned out. A lot of time is lost due to context switching and simply attending all of the meetings for all of the projects. They never get a chance to actually do the work. And in addition, it is a planning nightmare. How are you supposed to define that you have worked exactly 30% of your week on a particular project? And when someone is waiting on this person to complete a task and they just physically can't do it within the expectations set, then we start asking, how many hours did they spend on this? Can the other projects wait? Which tasks are more important? And many more, many more.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
I once used this graph to explain to one of the managers the effects of assigning the same person to multiple projects. It shows how much time is actually lost to context switching and how much time they are actually able to dedicate to each of the projects. He looked at it for a few seconds and then said, "So what?" If you're watching right now, though I doubt you are, do you remember that? Yeah. But let's take this question seriously. So, what do you do if you cannot assign every person to a single project? I have an easy answer for you. Plan for the time lost to context switching. Assess how much time realistically one person can dedicate to multiple projects. If they're split 50-50 between 2 projects, then count their capacity at 80% only. If they're split between 3 projects at 30-30-40, then count their overall capacity to be at 60% of their usual. What, you don't like cutting people's time like that? Then plan for knowledge transfer or hiring more people. Fallacy number 5, reporting the watermelon status for as long as possible. Here I'm talking about keeping the challenges the project faces hidden in order not to upset the stakeholders without reason. Green on the outside, red on the inside, like a watermelon. For example, the project is not going as fast as everyone hoped, but instead of raising this as an issue immediately, people kind of think they will pick up the pace in the upcoming months. We still have plenty of time, right? And then if project is really not going well, then the team is just fearful of admitting it as they know that it won't be taken well. So they postpone the delivering of the bad news for as long as possible. This, of course, leads to even worse results. What's even worse actually here is that if the information is reported earlier, maybe there is a way to improve the situation. But we usually learn about the problems in the project way too late when nothing can be done. So while it seems that we just don't want to attract unnecessary attention to the problems the project is facing, if we wait too long, we will break the last drops of trust that may exist, and we will rob ourselves of an opportunity to succeed. Of course, to be able to be honest about the project status, there needs to be trust. Building trust requires courage. And that means that someone needs to take the first step. Okay, that brings us to the very end of this video. So, what did we learn? Let's summarize. Adding more developers to the project to get it done fast will only slow it down in the first months due to learning curve and team formation. Adding a buffer to the estimated timelines is almost always off anyway, so it's best to just share progress along the way to set the expectations. Assigning all work items in advance to specific people may lock you into unexpected situations and will not allow you to distribute work in the most optimal way. Splitting people's time between multiple projects will make them lose a lot of time to context switching, and that should be planned in advance to help them keep the sustainable working pace. And reporting the watermelon status for as long as possible will only break trust and will not allow the team to make improvements when they may still be valuable. That is it for this video. I hope you learned something new, and if you did, share what it is in the comments down below. Do you agree with my evaluations? Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. And I'll see you in the next video. Cheers and Scrum on. Or as in a saying that was attributed to Abraham Lincoln, or in the saying that was attributed to Abraham Lincoln, how do you say this word? Attributed to Abraham Lincoln, oh my god. Lincoln.